Today's video is going to be a little different, because a couple weeks ago I saw a movie that changed my life forever. Yes, I'm being overly dramatic, but I watched RRR, and I cannot remember the last time I fell so head over heels in love with the movie. I watched it 3 times in a week, and a 4th time to make this video. No, it's not a Star Wars movie, but it does share a lot of Star Wars themes, so today I want to take a look at RRR through the lens of Star Wars. But really, this is just me trying to tell more people that they should watch it because it's phenomenal, and I figure if I enjoy it this much, there's a good chance other Star Wars fans will too. As a disclaimer, I know next to nothing about Indian cinema. I want to put it out there that I'm speaking from a place of general ignorance. I am nowhere close to an authority on the industry, or the art form, or the history, or the culture, and I absolutely do not want to make it sound like movies only have value if they're kind of like Star Wars. That's not true. I'm just using Star Wars as an excuse to love on RRR. And to do that, I'm gonna have to talk about spoilers, so this is your warning if you were planning on watching it already. If you're just now hearing about it for the first time, it's the story of 2 enemies that accidentally and unknowingly become best friends in 1920s India. It's amazing, and it's on Netflix right now. Go watch it and thank me later if you're already sold. If you're not, watch this video, because I honestly don't think there's any spoiler I could drop that will ruin the viewing experience, because this movie is bonkers, in the best way. Everything is taken to the extreme. The action is over the top. The 2 main characters might as well be superheroes. Nothing in RRR is done as a half measure, and really that's one of the first Star Wars parallels I drew. Taika Waititi said that Star Wars doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does believe in itself, and RRR believes in itself so much. Our friend Patrick Willems did a video about RRR already and mentioned how Marvel movies will often poke fun at themselves, make fun of superhero or villain names, basically tell the audience, yeah, we know this is all kinda silly, but let's roll with it. And personally, I've never had a problem with that. I do not mind self-awareness, but watching RRR, I just could not help but fall deeply in love with it, because I think all the filmmakers were deeply in love with the story they were telling. But let's get into the plot and the characters and the themes. Like I said, it takes place in 1920s India, while the country was still under the rule of the British Empire. The 2 main characters are 2 real-world revolutionaries who fought against the British. So right away, we've got our Imperial and our Rebel factions, and George Lucas was always clear about how the Galactic Empire was a stand-in for British and American imperialism. When we first meet Raju, he is working for the British as a police officer. We find out over the course of the movie that he is undercover, playing the long game, trying to become a special officer so he can gain access to a warehouse of weapons that he can steal and give to his village. But to do that, he has had to become like the worst of the worst. As he himself puts it, he is hurting the very people he seeks to make free, and we eventually learn that even though his goal is noble, it is completely driven by revenge. As a child, we see him lose his brother, mother, and father all in the same day, and his dying father makes him promise to put a weapon in the hands of every villager. So Raju has this goal, and absolutely nothing will stop him from achieving it. There's a great scene in Star Wars Rebels where Yoda tells Ezra that winning a fight is not as important as how you choose to win. Obviously, standing up against the oppression of the British Empire is good, but if you're actively hurting the people you want to protect, you have lost your way. Raju, at the start of the movie, is basically Saw Gerrera, someone who will do anything to beat their enemy. Irvin Kershner, director of The Empire Strikes Back, said, Princess Leia's rebel forces will not do anything in order to win. They will not sacrifice lives. They do not descend to the level of the enemy. That's the difference between the rebels and the Empire. It's possible to fight because you love, not just because you hate. And, of course, that's directly tied to Rose's line in The Last Jedi. That's how we're gonna win, not fighting what we hate, saving what we love. Saw Gerrera in Rogue One and several other Star Wars stories can be seen fighting the Empire with no regard for innocent lives around him. As long as he hurts the Empire, he doesn't care about collateral damage. All Raju cares about in RRR is getting those weapons and avenging his father. He doesn't want to hurt his countrymen in the process, but he will. He has lost himself, and he needs someone to bring him back from the darkness. Enter Beam. His goal is much smaller, though no less important. At the start of the movie, a little girl from his village is kidnapped, and it's his job to get her back. Right away, we see that even though he will not stop trying to rescue her, he is not willing to sacrifice his friends or anyone else to make it happen. There's a scene where a British officer is beating him, and Beam could absolutely fight back and kick that dude's ass easily, but he holds back because he doesn't want to endanger the family that chose to protect him. Then we can see that even though their methods of fighting the British are very different, at the core, Raju and Beam's hearts are aligned. They meet for the first time by helping a kid who's in trouble, and they help him in the most over-the-top and amazing way ever. Like I said, these guys are basically superheroes. They save this kid, and then they become friends, and I mean best friends. One of my absolute favorite Star Wars scenes is watching Finn and Poe escape the Finalizer in The Force Awakens. I love watching best friends becoming best friends. So it's really no surprise at all that RRR stole my heart, because there is seriously a 5-minute montage of Beam and Raju immediately being the best bros that have ever walked this earth. And then we get to a party where Raju gets to be the best wingman of all time by helping Beam land his crush. Some British douche tries to make a fool of Beam on the dance floor, so then Raju lays down a beat, breaks into song, and they dance battle. And then once all the British people have given up, Raju throws the competition to make Beam look even better. We should all be so lucky. Seriously, that dance scene is amazing. When I finish a Star Wars movie for the first time, I'll usually want to rewind to watch a lightsaber duel or a dogfight or something. I finished RRR, and above all the other action scenes, I was like, I have to watch them dance again. It is so much fun. But it also serves a purpose. I think Raju's friendship with Beam helps him see what life can be without a singular focus on his mission, but also reminds him what it's like to actually help someone again. It might be on the dance floor, but Raju standing up for Beam is saving what he loves. The whole montage and dance-off does a great job at making us forget how terrible Raju has been, because he's finding so much joy in being helpful to someone else. Of course, the two best friends eventually come into conflict. Beam attempts to rescue the kidnapped girl at a party in spectacular fashion by unleashing tigers, bears, cheetahs, and wolves into the British compound, which by itself is yet another Star Wars-y thing to do. Ezra attacking the Empire with the Loth Wolves or the Purrgil comes to mind, but seeing nature come in to help save the day has happened in tons of Star Wars books and comics as well. Again, we're seeing that Beam represents the more balanced of the pair. Beam is the light side and Raju is the dark, and unfortunately, the dark side sometimes wins. Raju foils Beam's plans, captures him, and finally gets what he's wanted, a promotion to Special Officer and access to the weapons of the mighty British Empire. But Star Wars also tells us that it's never too late to come back from the dark side. Raju is forced to publicly flog Beam for his crimes against the Empire. While he is beaten, Beam sings a song that's so moving it causes a riot in the crowd, and Raju finally understands guns are not the greatest weapon against the Empire, hope is. How much more Star Wars can you get? The Empire always has the upper hand against the rebellion. They have more stormtroopers, more blasters, more Star Destroyers, weapons that can blow up planets. They've got it all. But the rebellion has something to fight for, and they have hope. Beam becomes a symbol of hope because he fought to save what he loved, a little kidnapped girl, and his refusal to bend the knee, as Raju realizes, turned every person in the crowd into a weapon. So he decides to turn his back on his quest. He gives up the chance to deliver guns to his village so he can save Beam and the little girl instead. In doing so, he himself is captured. In prison, he holds on to his newfound hope. With only days until his execution, the British witness him exercising and mock him for continuing to chase his impossible dream. Raju retorts, "Let not the result be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction. I don't care about the result. I will be moving towards my goal until my last breath." To me, that's also the spirit of rebellion. Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, and the rest of Rogue One don't know if they can steal the Death Star plans, but they don't let that fear push them into inaction. They will take the next chance and the next until the day is won or the chances are spent. Of course, Raju's hope is not misplaced, because while Beam gets the young girl to safety, he meets Raju's fiancée, Sita. She helps them without even knowing who they are, because her fiancé always said that we should help other people. And I know this is the most surface level thing ever, but come on, that's Shmi Skywalker telling a young Anakin that the biggest problem in the galaxy is that nobody helps each other. Sita tells Beam Raju's entire backstory, and this is the moment Beam realizes there is still good in his friend that there always has been. But the redemption story has already taken place, so all that's left is for Beam to rescue Raj and for them to kick Imperial ass in the most insane way ever. They escape prison, Raju is healed, and if we want to go Star Wars with it, they become Jedi together. Raju has reclaimed his balance and his purpose thanks to Beam. They fight side by side, it's the best thing ever, and then they make an impossible shot to destroy the Death Star. Because that weapons depot is the Death Star. It's a symbol of Imperial overconfidence. They have weapons and technology, more than they could ever need. There's no way anyone they would consider to be lesser than could take them down with a bow and arrow. That's literally a line from the movie, but the Ewoks did it too. And that was always another message George Lucas wanted to communicate. He has talked about the American colonialists fighting against the mighty British Empire, and he's talked about the Vietnamese fighting against America. The irony is that in both of those cases, the little guys won. The highly technical empire, the English empire, the American empire lost. That was the whole point. And then, of course, the whole thing ends in a great song and dance number. Why doesn't every movie end that way? Get on this level, America! But that brings us to the end of RRR. Is it a perfect translation into Star Wars? No. I wish it had gone a little further with Beam's song galvanizing the people to rise up and fight, and the end definitely seems like it drifts back into fighting what you hate territory, but none of that matters because it's not a Star Wars movie. I just wanted to use Star Wars as an excuse to try to spread the word about RRR because I am currently obsessed with it. I can't remember the last time I felt so strongly about a movie. So go watch it. It's on Netflix right now. I think I did a pretty good job at not going too deep into spoilers, and even if I did, I don't think there's anything I could say that will fully prepare you for how amazingly entertaining and moving RRR is. Go watch it and let me know what you think. Thanks for putting up with me talking about a non-Star Wars movie today, but if you liked this style of video, you can check out one I recently did about Top Gun Maverick. And if there are other movies you'd like to see me explore through the lens of Star Wars, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for mostly more content directly related to Star Wars, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.